I remember one gentleman. He was a tradesman. He came in. He'd had elbow pain. He had a tennis elbow, a lateral epicondylitis, and we went through the whole process of doing everything and the usual treatment approaches and stuff. It probably had through in some electrotherapy in those days as well. And I remember suggesting to him, let's do some acupuncture, dry needling. He was, nah, not interested. And I was like, right, okay, this is, there's not a solid evidence base behind it, but it could be worth it since we're not getting anywhere with our existing stuff. No, I want to carry on. I think we went on for another 1 or 2 sessions, and he was like, let's just give this acupuncture malarkey a go. Like, totally and utterly, like, had no expectations whatsoever that this was going to work. This was him. Obviously, I was like, this could work, but he was like dead against it. This woo-woo, like, rubbish. No. He came in the next session, and he was like a different guy, and he says, I left the last session, and he says, I got into the van, and I nearly walked straight back into the clinic to tell you that I've had no pain. So that was at the end of the session that he'd had the acupuncture in. And then since that time, let's say it was like a week, 10 days, he'd had 0 problems at all. And he was like over the moon, high five and everything. Proper acupuncture convert, wearing like robes and growing a massive grey beard and poofing in grey smoke and stuff like that. So yeah, I remember that because I remember that kind of, we often talk about this on the courses about like, do you have to believe in acupuncture for it to work? And I always think back to that guy. I think back and say, well, he's a really good example of where, no, you don't actually have to believe acupuncture works for it to make a difference. But he was a tendinopathy. And the tendinopathy for him responded fantastically well. And he went on and as far as I know, had a very rich and fulfilling life. Probably set up a monastery somewhere. Maybe he's took in like disadvantaged animals, polar bears and cucumber ants and all sorts of things.